You're not gonna record this.
I want to.
All right. I don't like this. Okay, listen. Hallelujah.
You need one?
What? Yeah, let me get one. Okay, check it out. We're on page 71.
7-1.
71, the 8th step.
I got my book in the car.
I'm gonna cut it short.
I'll use my phone.
Just Dan's gonna be here.
All right, cool. Just make sure you hug me before you go. That's all.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
All right, okay. All right, so I don't want to use the microphone, so I just want to, and I don't want definitely to stand behind that thing. So what we'll do is we're going to share the reading. How many people have never been to a workshop with me? You've never been to a workshop with me. So for those who don't know, for clarity's sake, listen. I'm very sorry. I'm very, very sorry if you had a bad day at work. I don't want to hear about your bad day at work. I'm sorry if traffic was terrible. I don't want to hear about the traffic. This is a workshop on the literature. So our discussion is going to be based on the literature. No, I'm sorry. So now, no, with all due respect, we want to try to. We have a lot of. We're not going to get through all of it, so we'll get through some of it. But we're on the 8th and 9th step. Next year we're going to try to do just one step. I don't like 2 steps. But we're going to read a paragraph, and here's the thing: we want to look here, see if there's any meat, any gold, anything meaningful that we don't want to just share just to share. If there's anything meaningful in there, if there's a word that's significant, we want to be able to just dig into it, right? So the reason for this workshop is to cut through all the stuff and just what does the book say? Not your sponsor, not your pastor, not your professor in college, but what does the book say? Right? Simple. What does the book say? That's what we're here for. This particular workshop. All right. So does anybody want to read the first paragraph on page 71? Read it loud so we all can hear you. Anyone?
Starting with to this point.
Yes,
Loud and
please.
proud.
Yeah, loud and
Step
proud.
8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. To this point, the steps have focused mostly on repairing ourselves and our relationship with God of our understanding. Beginning with the 8th step, we bring other people into the healing process. People we harmed in our addiction, people we harmed in our recovery, people we meant to harm, people we hurt by accident, people who are no longer in our lives, and people we expect to be close to for the rest of our lives.
Thank you, David.
Should I continue?
No, that's it. Thank you very much. So that's the first paragraph in the 8th step, right? As you look at that, this is the first paragraph in the 8th step. Why is it there? What's meaningful? What is it saying? What's significant in this paragraph?
I'll go with
Yes,
people-
John.
People we did not intend to harm.
Okay.
Because you say, the question I asked myself for a long time, why do I have to make amends if I didn't mean it?
Mhm.
And the answer is very simple. It hurts whether you meant it or not.
It's good. Yeah, absolutely. So what Joanne just said, for those who didn't hear, that it doesn't matter if you meant it or you didn't mean it. If you cause harm, there's 6 people groups here, for those who don't know. If you got your book, you can do whatever you want with it, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people groups, okay? The first people group is people we harmed in our addiction. Second people group is people we harmed in our recovery. Third people group is people we meant to harm. Fourth people group, people we hurt by accident. Fifth people group, people who are no longer in our lives. And the 6th people group is people we expect to be close to for the rest of our lives, right? Now, if you've been to the 8th step with me, there's a people group that's missing here, right? People we harmed before our addiction, right? Because I harmed people before I was on drugs. I harmed people while I was on drugs. I harmed people when I was in recovery, So, but in this book, in this paragraph, there's 6 people groups that is highlighted here. All right, and Joanne just pointed out, one of them is people you didn't mean to harm. It doesn't matter, which is the next paragraph that tells you about that. It doesn't matter if you meant it or not. Okay. Now, anything else is meaningful. There's a line here that really speaks a lot to me. Yeah.
Ourselves and our relationship with God.
Okay. So, to this point, the first 7 steps, the book says, not Richie C., who's late, by the way. Richie C., You're late. Okay, very good. To this point, we focus mostly on repairing ourselves and our relationship with God of understanding, right? So now whoever wrote this is thinking and believing that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing in the first 7 steps. Now, if let's say Sandra, right, Jeannie, let's say Sandra says, well, I don't believe in God, I haven't been, if she hasn't repaired her relationship with God, do you think she should be on the 8th step?
No,
Why?
she hasn't done the work before that.
Okay, so that, because the book says to this point. So this is not a Christian. This is not religious. This is not. The book says that to this point, the steps. What steps? The 7 steps have focused mostly on repairing ourselves and our relationship with God. That's something that people don't even talk about. They even, it's overlooked. The book says that you did the first 7 steps so that you can begin to repair yourself and your relationship with God. All right. So now that's the second part. So that's what the first 7 steps was. Right now it says, beginning with the 8th step, we bring other people into the healing process. Right. So we've been focusing on ourselves and our relationship with God, supposedly, and now we're inviting other people into the healing process. Stephen.
Pastor, I don't want to, of course, I totally agree with you, but even if a person doesn't have a relationship with God, the first part says repairing the relationship with ourselves and our relationship with God. So even if people don't believe in God, which I hope they certainly do by this point,
Sure.
they can still do the 8th step.
Right. That's nice. And people do. But the problem is people go over the steps with a minimum of concern. Right? So they go, so of course, right, if you're sponsoring Aaron, and Aaron has been repairing relationship with himself, he's going to the gym, he's doing meetings, he's not drinking, he's not getting high, he's not doing it, he's repairing relationship with himself. But many people miss this part. I want to know, many people miss the second part of that. They have not repaired the relationship with God. Right? And so many times, without repairing your relationship with God, you're not receiving the results that you could receiving. But that's Stevie, good point. A lot of people do that. David.
So I think that's a very important line. In the basic text, it talks about at this point you're not intentionally harming anyone. And my 8th step list is comprised of all the people that I hurt through my defective behavior when I did 6 and 7, when I did a searching and fearless moral inventory. So I think it's really important to get there, because if not, I'll just keep hurting people with the same defective behavior, repeating it. And then at the end of this, so it places you. It tells you where you come from, what we're getting ready to do, and then people we expect to be close to for the rest of our lives. So it puts you into the future too.
Right.
I just think it's a very
It's very important. Let me just say this. I don't want to. I did this step in England. I don't know if Aaron was there. I don't think Aaron was there. You already was in Turkey. And let me tell you what happens. Right. Let's say that Christian has done the first 7 steps and he has not repaired his relationship with God. The people that he expects to be close for the rest of his life are not going to be there. He's going to destroy the relationships with the same defects that created the list. Why? Why do I say that? Because without a relationship with God, you're powerless again and weak in 6 and 7. Right? So we went through this whole thing. If I'm going to stop acting out in my character defects, you guys who were here last retreat, we said the 6 steps says we became entirely ready to have God. Right? And then I stopped there on purpose to make people nervous. Right? But that's what it says. We became, when you suffer enough and you cry enough and you want to kill yourself, or you relapse, or you take a couple of trips to the mental institution with many years clean, you become entirely ready to have God. The entirely ready process, we said, involves, oh, you dropped the candy bar. Boy, that's God's blessing for me. No, come on, man. 8 step. I'm not putting you on my list. All right. So, but check it out. So this repairing our relationship with God is I know it's only one little thing there, but if you have a 12-step perspective and you know the damage you caused because of character defects, and you know that without the power of God, if God doesn't heal those things that are fueling the defective behavior, we're going to keep doing the same thing. You're not going to be able to stop, right? So This line is very, very important, and I tell my guys, listen, what does the book say? Tell me, it says, to this point, the steps have focused mostly on preparing ourselves and our relationship with God among us. And then I ask them, do you think that this is true for you? Does this represent your reality? Or not so much? Or not so much. Okay, so what do you think you should do? Well, now you're going to get left back. Right? So maybe you went over the second step. With a what?
Minimum of
I can't hear you, Joanne.
minimum of concern.
And what happens if you go over the second step with a minimum concern?
The rest of the steps
won't
won't
The
work.
rest of the steps won't work. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to work 40 hours and not get paid.
That's right.
I just got finished talking about the big problem is trust, okay? And these are the key factors of step 2. Evidence and trust, okay? If we don't take time to look at our lives and see evidence that God has always been working for us, we're gonna pass over the importance of the second step.
Yes.
And then the other part is, when I see the evidence of what God's already done for me, even while I was still a sinner and doing all the things that before I even acknowledged Him, then how would I not trust Him with everything else?
Right. No,
So
I'm
those
with you.
are all- And if somebody kind of misses over that in the second
Right.
step, they're gonna miss the rest of the.
Right. So let me just say this, because I want to read the next paragraph. If you have, let's say you're on the 9th step. Let's say some people come to, I'm on the 8th step. I can't believe you're on you're right. And you have not repaired your relationship with God, you're probably going to do some more suffering unnecessarily. Because the second step says that the insanity, and I hate to go back to that, but the second step, the insanity that we're dealing with is unnecessary. Anybody know what unnecessary means?
Yeah,
It's not
You
needed.
don't need it.
Unnecessary. It means it's not necessary.
Don't need it.
You don't need it, right? Second step says that.
Not valuable.
Okay, so now, who's gonna read the second? Yeah. Go ahead, Gary.
Do you think that most of us go through the second step with a minimum concern the first time around?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah, I think that when we look at this, when we did the second step retreat, right? We talked about the brand of insanity. Because it talks about, like, I'm not smoking crack, but I'm smoking lust. Right? I'm not drinking Heinekens, but I'm drinking insecurities. You know, so it just says, what's your brand of insanity today? So I know you're not using drugs. I know you're clean. That's great. But what's your brand of insanity today? And you know, and we talked about that. And then we said in the second step that we need a power in this book that can heal our hurts. Why would it talk about healing our hurts? And it's because of the continuity of the 12-step process, right? So we understand that, a lot of people, that's great. A lot of people are doing step work, and they are where they are, right? They are where they are. That's where they are. You can't make somebody be where they're not. But the thing is, I want you to know that if you're going over step work and you're doing an assignment, and that's all you do, if you're just doing homework and it's not going from your head to your heart, and if you're not experiencing at least what the book says, because if you speak to other people, they have experience. Well, you should. If you did the 12 steps, you wouldn't be talking like that. That's what some people will tell you. You cannot be somebody who's been through all 12 steps, but that's their opinion, right? Because we say we don't moralize with one another.
Right.
Right? But you get, so imagine that. So at least what the book says. Because now if you go from 5 or 6 members, well, if you did a real 4th and 5th step, you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So at least if you've done what the literature says, which a lot of people don't, I didn't. Don't get defensive. Don't justify. Don't blame your sponsor. Right? Just say, I didn't. That's not my experience. And it's okay. Because let's say it wasn't your experience. Guess what it can be in the future? Your experience. Right? It's cool. I didn't have all this information when I first got clean. When I got clean, it's just don't use. Just don't use. All right. Somebody read the second. Page 71, second paragraph. Who wants to read it loud? Yes, go ahead.
The eighth step is about identifying the damage we caused. It doesn't matter whether we caused it because we were overtaken by rage, carelessness, or because we were afraid. It doesn't matter whether our actions were based in selfishness, arrogance, dishonesty, or any other defect. It doesn't matter that we didn't intend to cause someone harm. All the damage we caused is material for the 8th step.
Okay, so when you look at that paragraph, right? Why is it there? Why did they add this paragraph to the book? Anybody?
Because it doesn't matter the reason.
It doesn't matter. But here's a problem. We have storylines.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. No, but yo, he should never talk to me like that. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but he did it. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but you don't. No, papito, this paragraph says, it does not matter. Tell your story walking. That's what it says. Like, yo, there's no justification. There's no rationalization. There's no minimize. Papito, it doesn't matter. Whatever beautiful, mentally ill reason, elaborate, beautiful picture you painted, it doesn't matter. And if we can get to, I'd say a lot of people are not experiencing freedom because in their mind, they've justified what they did. I promise you. I promise you. Well, he's lucky I didn't cut him.
Yep. Yep.
Right? Well, they lucky and here's what happens, right? If you look at this paragraph, it's trying to help us to understand, me and you together, Ray, listen, you're gonna finish it. There's no right way
To doing the wrong thing.
to do the wrong thing. There's no right. If you did wrong, it doesn't matter. Yeah, but you wasn't there. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but you don't understand. If I don't understand, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't. So this paragraph is to rip away, strip us of all justification, all rationalization, all minimization, all blaming, shifting blame. What does this say? All the damage we caused. Who caused? We caused the damage we caused. Whatever reason whatever reason, it doesn't matter. All the damage we cause is material for the 8th step.
Yeah.
Now I want to say this. If let's say we dummy it down. Oh, but I understand, Bendito. But we have our own realities, our own stories. Everybody gotta. If you dummy it down, you say, yeah, I'm not feeling that. Yeah, I hear you, but I'm not feeling that. I was raped as a kid. I'm not having that. Whatever your storyline is, because the disease wants you to lower the standards, because the lower you lower the standards, the less freedom you're going to experience.
That's right.
But it's not, very lower the standards, justify, no, minimize. I don't care what the book says. It was written by dope fiends anyway. No, you should care. Because if you can align your thinking, say, yo, there's no right way to do the wrong thing. You acted that, you said that, you did it. Whatever reason, if you take responsibility for your behavior, if you put it on a piece, now, you might not do nothing with it later. But at least acknowledge, yo, you did that. You said that. Or later on, you didn't do that. You should have done it. What do you mean? So you can cause harm by things you do,
Leaving them out.
and you can cause harm by things you didn't do. Right? So, okay. So that paragraph, who's going to read? Gene, you going to read the third?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And the other thing is, if someone's struggling with that, they may need to go back to the 6th step.
Okay.
Because there's that line, that whole thing in the 6th step about how it reverberates through your spirit, whether anybody saw you do it or not. So if someone's struggling with that whole unintentional thing, they may need to go back and look at step 6 and see why there's like that whole, oh, I'm innocent, it shouldn't count if I don't mean it, and all that stuff. There's something in the deeper part of step 6 that they might have missed.
I'm with you, absolutely. Very good.
It may turn out that some of the harm we did can't be repaired. It may turn out that we ourselves can't directly make the repair. It may even turn out that we're not responsible for something we placed on our 8th step list. Our sponsor will help us sort that out before we go to the 9th step. For now, our task is only to identify who we harmed and what the harm was, and become willing to make amends.
Thank you, Gene. Why is that there?
We wanna say I'm sorry to people, we shouldn't be saying I'm sorry to.
It also could be like, sometimes we can't make amends to someone that's not around anymore. Someone that passed away, someone that died, like, I stole my grandmother's money and now, I got clean and I wanna make amends, but I can't repair that, but then I sorted out with my sponsor and she said, well, there's other ways you can make amends. You can go to the cemetery, you can write a letter,
Yep.
That's an example.
Yes, sir.
Because the eighth.
Speak louder, because there's people in the back.
Yeah, I think this is here, because the 8th step is a list. It's asking us to write a list. It's not asking us who we're gonna be making the amends.
It's good.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
And I agree with that, and I think it's because the fear that goes into it sometimes too, just write it down. Don't even worry about the next step, just write down everything that it is and the rest will come up later, right? Cause it gets scary. Oh, I don't know what they're gonna say, I don't know what's gonna happen when I do that, just forget about that part.
Yes.
That's why you need to.
That's what I was gonna add, like the rationalization, just
Yeah.
like, oh, they're not gonna accept it, or they're not around, it's not up to you, it's up to your sponsor and the list.
Yes. Yeah. So, yes, Kevin.
So early on in my step work, I had a lot of codependency issues, and I was putting stuff on there that had no business being put on there. My sponsor was like, that ain't it. That's like 2 blocks over.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to put it on there, and then we needed to talk about that.
Yes.
Cause I had to go back and look at, I was taking everybody else's stuff.
Yes.
And then the other piece was that sometimes the harm is so great that there can't be a reparation, like Jeannie was saying, they died or whatever, or it's a situation that I could be harmed in trying to reparate that.
Absolutely.
And my sponsor's the one that's gonna help me figure that out, but I'm just to put it on the list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to say this, Frankie, you're next. The thing is this, don't let the disease edit your step work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, that's why,
like
don't just write it. You don't know what's gonna happen. Nobody's gonna see this except me, my sponsor. I just need to just let my pen flow. I prayed already. Just write it. Just write. And the thing is this: if you let the disease edit your step work, you're not gonna experience the freedom you could experience, and you might get trapped off. Right. So it's saying just write it down. I got Frankie and I got David. Give me 1 second. It says here this. All right. Look at what it says. All right. For now, our task is only. For now, our task is only. There's 3 things that it says here. 3 things. 1, to identify who we harmed. That's the first task. Right now, for now, our task is 1, to identify who we harmed. 2, what the harm was. And 3, become willing to make amends.
That's it.
That's 3 things that in that paragraph that is saying. 1, identify who we harmed. 2, what the harm was. 3, become willing. That's what it says. Frankie, and then David, and we're going to read the next paragraph. Go ahead.
Yeah, what it says here, right, to me personally, because I do the next step, is that some harm I've done, no matter what, I gotta give it to God, because it can't be repaired, because the other person is not willing to forgive.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my situation
Sure.
with my son.
Right.
So I know, I run several ways step with him. And to this day, he still has not.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So no matter what repair I try to do or what I try to do, I gotta give it to God.
Right.
Because I can't carry that on me.
Sure.
Because I carried it. And what it did is cause more harm to myself.
Sure.
So I had to let it go.
Absolutely. Thank you. David, then we'll read the next paragraph.
You already spoke about one of the things I was gonna speak about, where it says only.
Yeah.
That word is key.
Yes.
For now, our tax is only, so I'm not gonna talk about that because you read it.
Right.
But also, it's got that subtle reminder of how important it is that we work closely with our sponsor. 'Cause
Woo.
the line before that says, our sponsor will help us sort that out before we go on to the next step. So the importance of continuing to work.
Yes.
That was really important for me in my 8th and 9th.
Absolutely. I just want to reiterate that. Let your sponsor sponsor you. Right? Put it down on paper. Do whatever. My sponsor told me if he was here, he could confirm this. All right. He said, Raymond, for a pastor, for somebody who's so spiritual, you have a lot of resentments. That's what he told me. Said that you have no idea where I stepped. I had a big list of resentments, and so I needed to get vulnerable. I needed to be sponsored. I didn't want to. I'm the bishop, apostle, reverend, doctor. No. I needed to bring this to him and let him sponsor me. I needed to hear that. I didn't like it, but he's still not here. Okay, David, go ahead. Then we're gonna.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that, it says here, that it turns out that we won't even be responsible. So it's kind of like, to me, a precursor to address false guilt that I've been carrying around.
That's good.
Saying that, I feel like I owe amends to somebody when I don't.
Yes.
Just because I'm used to being culpable, a sense of culpability all the time.
Yes.
And that also in turn that I can't directly make the repair because except to do so would hurt others. So, just all that is tied into that. I mean, ultimately is that to identify those things, the last line. But I'm looking at that like it's as a precursor to all these things implicit in those sentences.
Absolutely. You said, what Julie said is that a lot of times the disease is always, for most people, not everybody, the disease is always trying to find places to show you how much of a piece of garbage you are. Right? Just the disease is, if you in the Christian they call him the accuser. He's always accusing, always look at you, you must look at you. And so the disease might put you in a headlock, and you might not be responsible for some of the stuff you're feeling guilty about, which is normal. It's normal where, I had somebody they was playing wiffle ball, and the ball got stuck in a fire escape, and the kid went to get the ball, and it was their turn to get the ball, but they would say, no, you go get it, and the kid fell and died. And they, for 35 years, 34, they're walking around with that guilt, like, I owe them. They didn't owe amends for nothing. It wasn't their fault the kid fell and died. But for over 30 years, they walk around with that burden that wasn't theirs. So that was a good opportunity. No, Papito, no, this is not you. Man, and like, who's doing this to you? The disease will do that to you. The disease will have you suffering for stuff you shouldn't be suffering about and ignoring stuff you need to get honest about. It'll play you on both sides. Okay, next paragraph. Who's going to read it?
I'll read it.
Go ahead.
Down to 11. It's natural to wonder about the 9th step and how we will make our amends while we're working the 8th step. What we think about our amends is bound to influence our work in this step. We may need to get some common misconception out of our way before we can make our list.
Thank you. So I'm going to start this off, and we're going to make a list. So it's saying it's natural. So while this is not especially messed up, or Stanley's not especially diseased, because he's right in the 8th step, knowing he's not supposed to be considered the 9th step, but he's thinking about it anyway. Yeah. That's natural. It's natural. I don't know if I'm not getting, but we ain't got time. But you look at the word now, it's natural to wonder about the 9th step. It's natural. Now, there's a line here that says, no, it says, well, we think about our amends. So even though you're not supposed to, you're thinking about it. And what you think about your amends, whatever you're thinking, what you think about your amends is going to affect you, right? It's bound to influence our work in this step. So we know, I'm telling you, let's say you've never done an 8th step, or you do the next step. We know that you're going to think some things, whatever the things might be, and it's going to influence how you finish or what you do in that step. So what it's saying, we know that's going to happen. I don't care if you're Raymond R. or Ed F. or whoever you think you are. It doesn't matter. Your thinking is bound to influence what you do in this step. So what it's saying is, let's look at the common. Common is very important. Again, you're not especially messed up. You're not weird. Especially common misconceptions. Anybody know what a misconception is? Misunderstanding. False belief. All right. So there's some that the word needed. So let's go. Think about. I'll give you 10 seconds to think about one of your misconceptions. What was a misconception that you had that was negatively influencing your 8-step list. Now, whatever step you on, as they think about this, we all have misconceptions about different aspects of every step. And if you can address those common misconceptions, they won't block you from levels of freedom that's available to you. All right? So now, tell me one misconception that you had in the 8th step that was hindering your process. Yes. Mark, and then the young lady, go ahead.
But they harmed me.
But they harmed me.
They harmed me way more than I harmed them.
They did me dirty. They harmed me more than I did them. Okay.
They're never gonna forgive me.
They're never gonna forgive me. Anyone else? Mike?
I was a child.
I was a child. Julie?
This is gonna make it worse.
This is gonna make it worse. David?
They're dead now, it doesn't matter.
They're dead now, it doesn't matter. Chris?
Was I really wrong?
Was I really wrong? Not really sure. Haven't put that together. Any misconceptions? Anyone else? Yes.
You grab me through my neck.
He grabbed me to my neck. Absolutely. He grabbed me to my neck. They did me. Yes, Julian.
Thinking about the other person's response.
How they're gonna respond? Absolutely. Anyone else?
I think taking on full skill could also be,
Okay, taking on too much guilt.
yeah, and thinking, something is my fault when it really wasn't. And so just making me just extra, like I said, extra culpable, shame and guilt, when really I was the victim.
Okay.
I mean, it seems counterintuitive to the 8th step, but it could be a hindrance.
Okay, misconception. That's fine. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go to jail.
I'm gonna go to jail. Oh, that's
But are you asking what is hindering us from writing it down in the 8th step?
yeah. So what might
Because it
some?
seems like everybody's answering something about the 9th step.
No, it's in the 8th step. What's blocking them in the 8th step about the 9th step? You know what I mean? So there's a misconception about this next step that's affecting me now.
But if we just stay focused on what was at hand in the 8th
If
step,
we did.
we're not gonna have any problem writing these things down. We just have to be entirely ready to make the bid.
Right. That's the task. But it's natural for many of us to think about the next step, even though we're not there. Right?
Well, we just read here, confirmed for me, that I'm seeking relief from the guilt. Because it's natural for me to, I want to get on with this. Come on. But I get this guilt off of me. That's what I want.
That's good. That's good. That's what we need. Right? Now, how we go about it, will you tell me? Yeah. Yes. Billy.
That they're gonna laugh or reject me,
Sure.
and then I'm gonna have something else to make amends for.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Aaron, loud. Yes.
Okay, so I think a misconception for me would be that I'm gonna have to make the amends.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like you just said.
Am I gonna have to make these amends?
Yeah,
You go,
absolutely.
Aaron.
That's good. Yeah. Frankie,
They're not gonna forgive me.
they're not gonna forgive
Oh,
me.
yeah, I was thinking.
Josh,
Is this even necessary?
oh, that's good. Yeah. Why am I, this is, right. So let me tell you one that we don't want to talk about because we don't want to expose. Right? I ain't got no money. Nobody even brings it up. I did like 8 of this, 8, nobody wants to even talk about financial amends. They're like, all right? So I ain't got no money. I'm not gonna be a sucker. Just there's different things. But the point of this, so you just heard different, we could have made a list. There's different things that the disease is gonna tell us to block us from the freedom that's available to us, right? And what Aaron said and what a couple people said is that, just make the list. You might not even have to address that in step 9. But if you can't even just put it on the list, that's not going nowhere because you didn't put it on the paper. It's going to be in you, and it's going to affect how you deal with people that you care about and love. If you don't talk it out, you're going to act it out. Right? So you put it on the list. Whatever it might be. Let me explain to you something. Real or imagined.
Right.
There's freedom for both.
Right.
Real or imagined, there's freedom for both. But if you don't address it, then it's going to continue to address you. Put it on the list. Make the list, put it on the list. You and your sponsor can figure it out later on. But and I tell you, and people don't understand this unless you do it. There's only one way to understand it, or you got to do it. Do it. Put it on the list. By putting it, taking it from my soul and my head and from my awareness on a piece of paper and sharing with someone else, there's freedom. There's phases of freedom. I didn't tell the person. I didn't go. I first of all to myself, because it's deep in there. I've been subconsciously, which I don't want to get into the subconscious mind. I put that there 30 years ago. I threw alcohol, crack, cocaine, whiskey, porn, food. I threw some money. I put so much stuff on top of that. I don't want to go dig that up right now. I'm telling you. And it's freedom for you. It's freedom. And a lot of people, we'll get to it later, but make the list. People say, people want to, well, this is therapy. The more thorough you are, the more peace you can experience. The more thorough you are, the more freedom you can experience. The more thorough you are, the more love you're capable of experiencing, open and giving. Right? One of the pastors said that they were full of whatever. If you don't get it out, it's still there. It's still there. And I promise you, a lot of people don't know why they're doing what they do, and it's because they didn't address all the stuff they could have addressed. There's more to address. All right? So, all right. Next paragraph. Who's going to read it? Go ahead.
It's wonderful that we've already begun repairing our relationships with some of the people in our lives. Our families are probably delighted that we're using drugs. Some of the more overt damage we inflicted on others ceased as soon as we stopped using drugs. If we manage to keep our jobs or stay in school, we're probably already performing better in those places. We're no longer harming our coworkers or employers, our teachers or fellow students in certain ways. But is that enough?
Okay. So that's a setup. Anything in this paragraph that's meaningful to talk about? Aaron.
Stop the bleeding, but didn't clean the wound.
Stop the bleeding, but didn't clean the wound. Ooh, that's anointed. Stop the bleeding, but didn't clean the wound. I heard Randy share on the 4th and 5th step once. He said, before your wound can heal, they got to clean it out. That was good. Thank you, Aaron. So you stopped the bleeding, but you didn't address the wound, right? So is that enough? Somebody read the next paragraph. Go ahead.
We've probably heard people in meetings emphasizing that amends means change. Not just to say, I'm sorry, that what really counts is the way we're treating people now. But this doesn't mean that formal apologies have gone out of fashion in NA. Direct face-to-face verbal amends are extremely powerful, both as a means of spiritual growth for us and as a long-awaited comfort for the people to whom we make them. What our members are emphasizing is that we can't just offer people lame apologies and then go right back to doing what caused them harm in the first place.
Thank you. So I'm going to set this up and I'm going to ask you a question. So it says here, all right, it's wonderful that we've already begun repairing our relationship with some people in our lives. So you're being clean, some changes have been made, you're not acting a certain way, you know, you're acting a little bit different, you're doing better in this area, but is that enough? Right, that's what it does. And then it goes on to what Steve read about this. We probably heard people in meetings emphasizing that amends means to change, not just to say I'm sorry. All right, so you understand this thing, because you usually get the opposite of the point of this 2 paragraphs. There's a point here. And we usually hear the opposite of this point. What's the point of what is that paragraph saying? What is it saying? What does it mean? Where's Josh at? Oh, you reading that paragraph? Go ahead. Go ahead. Joe, go ahead. Yeah, your hand up?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
About the amends part?
Yeah, what is that paragraph saying? Why is it there?
Sorry doesn't mean anything if you don't change your behavior.
Okay, sorry doesn't mean anything if you don't change your behavior. What else is that paragraph saying?
It's saying
Sorry is
that
a poor excuse.
Sorry is a poor excuse. Who's just reading something, Jeannie?
what it says in this paragraph is not always about just saying sorry, right? Like, I'm sorry, but it's better to have like that direct face-to-face verbal amends are extremely powerful.
Yes.
Both as a means of spiritual growth.
Yes. So let me tell you what people do. And the disease is in the details, right? So I stopped stealing. Not that I have stopped. I'm saying let's make believe I stopped stealing. Okay? And you got Johnny O got that. All right, no, I stopped. I want to see you. People just, okay, Johnny's with me. Praise the Lord. Johnny's with me. All right. So, all right, no. So I stopped stealing, right? I stopped stealing, and it's saying that change is really, really good. Change of behavior is at the end result. We want to see you change. You've been sorry all your life. You're one sorry person.
That's right.
All right?
That's the truth.
But what it's saying, Jeannie, what it's saying is that you still have to go say, Jordan,
That takes
I want you to know that in 1992,
Yeah.
I took the $20, bro.
Yeah.
And I know that I blame Johnny. And I know, and I had it in my pocket and I helped you look for it. But I need to look and feel that shame.
That's right.
And feel that fear.
Absolutely.
And feel that anxiety.
That's right.
What it is saying the opposite of what you hear a lot in meetings. Not one over the other. It's not one over the other. It's saying that I'm sorry has not gone out of fashion. That you still have to face to face be like, listen, feel these feelings, feel the anxiety. What you're feeling is what it takes to grow.
That's right.
That's what you're feeling, right? You might not know, you don't understand it, but God is taking you and He's upgrading your frequency. And that's a whole different language I don't want to get into. But that's how it feels. You want to know how it feels to go on? It feels like, is He going to spit on me? Is He going to swing on me? Is He going to curse me out? These feelings are the price I got to pay to elevate. What we don't want, we say, I haven't stolen nothing. I'm good. I haven't stolen 3 years. I don't got to. No, it's saying, Papito, you have to, they're on the list. You want to be a sponsor? You just don't forget that face-to-face is very, very valuable. Why is it valuable? I'll tell you why it's valuable. Stanley.
The admission must
What?
come from my own
What? In order?
in order to be effective.
Yes, to be a value and be effective. So there's some circumstances that it's saying, not all, your sponsor will help you, right? But it's saying that, and we got these people like Raymond R. speaking at all these conventions. It doesn't matter if you're sorry. It's about change. Change is... No, it matters. It matters to sit there and say, listen, I want to honor that I hurt you. And I want to honor that I did you dirty. You was good to me. And I repaid evil for good. And I'm not going to talk, without me saying, but I have a disease, and I'm compulsion, No, I want to honor your pain. And I want to invite you into the healing process that I'm now in. You don't have to take the invitation. But I want to, that's what those two paragraphs for 1 point. What you read, Jeannie, that face-to-face thing. Frankie.
That's what I want to talk about. I get emotional, right? Because there was the freedom I got of doing that, I still feel it today. And it was the years back. And I said, the freedom I got of doing that with my ex-wife in the bank, of making that amends of the damage I did, and walking away and feeling that lift off my shoulder, that freedom, there's nothing in the world can buy that.
No, absolutely.
And still today, and by the grace of God of doing that, it doesn't mean she forgave me.
Right.
But it made things better, a little better, right?
Right. Well, the thing is this: the outcome is not that. But look at what it says. Jeannie read it. I don't know if you caught that, but it's very important. It says this: direct face-to-face verbal amends are extremely powerful. Why? Why are they extremely powerful? Both as a means of spiritual growth for us, which I try to describe very eloquently, by the way. All right? So spiritual growth for us, and long-awaited comfort for the people to whom we make. I had somebody spit in my face. And they needed to spit in my face. And I deserve worse than them spitting in my face. Right? I just, obviously I didn't like it. You think about it, somebody spits in my face, I'm going to catch a charge. No. I got free. I got free, but they spit in my face. So the point is that if I went over my sponsor and we say you got to go talk to Wallace, I talk to Wallace, I feel it's very difficult. Only the people who've done it understand. To sit down with somebody and to process this and to do it appropriately and with guidance of a sponsor. Like too many of us say, listen, it's that I'm a drug addict and I got a disease and I wasn't in control. And no, now you're doing a disservice to the assignment.
Right.
So now, let me just deal with some hands. I saw hands. Yes.
I had a question.
Yes.
When you talked about how direct face-to-face verbal and these is a means of spiritual growth. How?
Okay. So what happens is that there's some feelings and there's a spiritual process that takes place in that face-to-face encounter. The same way there's a physical process that takes place when you lift the weight and you bring it down slowly and then you lift it again. There's something is happening to the body, your muscles. So that's physical. When you sit down with somebody, and in your mind, because the disease is like this, and then the disease is remember 20 things that they did to you, but you're not here for those 20 things. You're here to. So there's a process of spiritual growth that takes place just by sitting with your sponsor, doing it, making the appointment, showing up, and being able to handle that. You have an experience that you cannot purchase. You can't get it by reading or listening to a CD. You have experience with these feelings. Now, this works later on because the thing about recovery is that every addict is a sucker because they don't know how to handle their feelings. So he's going to shop or he's going to drink or he's going to have sex. He's going to watch porn. I'm going to eat a donut because of my feelings. So sitting down with somebody, going through all these feelings is practice. And then I come and sit down with this young lady, that's practice. And then I go sit down with this one. I'm sitting down a lot, not lovingly, a lot of people don't do this. Again, you can tell people who haven't done this. If Mike tells me that he's made 68 amends face to face with people, but he can't have a discussion with a waitress about the tea being lemon or Earl Grey, I don't believe him. So there's a spiritual growth, there's spiritual practice, there's a training of not letting our emotions dictate our actions. And there's a profound growth component to being humble. To putting yourself in a humble posture, there's incredible growth that takes place when we truly humble. So these face-to-face things, they're very valuable. And lovingly, I'll tell you, I promise you, many people avoid them. You know what they say? I changed. I don't do that no more. I don't do that no more. And they're right, they don't do that no more. But you got junk in your trunk, it's not going nowhere unless you sit down face to face. And that junk that you got is going to come out misdirected in other areas, in other relationships, and other stuff. Especially when you become, now you messed up coming to this retreat. Because now you know. Now you know. And God, your high up, God is going to tell you, you probably sit down with Theo Jujo, and you probably sit down with this one, and the guy from the candy store, and the school teacher that you know, now, because you know God's going to do what God does, and it's up to you, between you and God, to respond appropriately. But first, you got to talk to your sponsor. Because our sponsor is the one that helps us work this out. Right? We're good?
Yep.
Next paragraph?
Yes.
Who's going to read it? Yes, go ahead, Joe.
Some of us may be feeling a bit weary at this point, especially if our sponsor had us do extensive writing on the first 7 steps. We inventoried our behavior in step 4, and we cataloged our character defects in step 6. Now, we have to examine the same situations from yet another angle. It may seem as if we've examined our lives and our addiction in every possible way by the time we're done with these steps. Is all this really necessary?
Yep.
Aren't we just punishing ourselves by going over and over the same thing? No, we're not. The 8th step is the beginning of a process that lets us feel equal to others. Instead of feeling shame and guilt, instead of feeling forever less than, we become able to look people in the eye. We won't have to avoid anyone. We won't have to be afraid we'll be caught and punished for some neglected responsibility. We'll be free.
Now think about this, because I want you to answer the question. We talked. It just confronted us with face-to-face direct amends, right? And then it says nicely. Say nicely. It says this. All right. It says. Where it says it at? Praise the Lord. Give me a second. No, look what it says. It says nicely. It says, some of us may be feeling a bit weary at this point. All right. That's nice. There's wisdom in the, right? Some people are like, I'm never going to face to face. I'll cut them if I see, The disease is going to fight for its life. It's going to tell you 50 reasons why this is absurd. It's ridiculous. I'm not the one. We're not the two. But it says, after thinking about this discussion we just had, it says someone may be feeling a bit weary. All right. Why do you think this is it? Tell me what's in this paragraph. Why is this paragraph there? Tell me what's in here. What does it say to you? What comes off the page to you that's in the literature? What's in this book, what we just read, that speaks to you? Why is it there? I'll give you 5 seconds.
It goes back to pride and ego.
Okay.
Same thing like in the 5th step, like why do we have to tell God if he knows already? So, a lot of times they say, well, hey, listen, I addressed this already in my 4th step. I looked at this in my resentments. So why do I have to write about this person again? Like I did this already, so now I gotta do it again? So that's really kind of what it's all about. But that's an ego arrogance, and it's also giving us this, like, hey, I've accomplished something when we have a lot more work to do.
Yes, that's very good, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can't. Yes, David. I'm sorry, David, and I can't see on my left. So if I ignore you too much, yell at me. Go ahead, David.
It's interesting because when I started step work, right, it was the beginning of a process. But over here it says the 8th step is the beginning of a process, right? So it's the beginning of another process that lets us feel equal to others instead of feeling shame and guilt. But I also get a vibe from this paragraph of like no matter what, keep going forward and continue in the step work, and continue making the list. Stay vigilant, stay willing. Don't give up no matter what.
That's beautiful. I'm going to say this. I see. Check it out. Listen to what's happening here. It just gave us a tough pill to swallow. That change is not enough. I'm sorry it's not enough, but change is not enough. You got to change and say I'm sorry. Face to face. A mature recovery amends. Guided by a sponsor. Okay, now the disease starts fighting. Egotistical. I don't got to. Oh, I've done this already. The disease is going to fight for its life. How can I get you? No, we're not doing that. No, I'm not. Fight for its life, right? You're egotistical. It's okay. I'm egotistical. You're arrogant. It's okay. I'm arrogant. I get it. You have spiritual pride. I got spiritual pride. I understand. I hear it all the time. It's okay. It's normal. It's normal to think crazy. Okay? So now what it's saying is this. What you don't know, or maybe you do know, David, that the 8th step is the beginning. I'm big on words. I'm big on words. It's the beginning of another process. The 8th step, I didn't write the book. It says the 8th step is the beginning of a process. What process? The process that lets us feel equal to others. You mean I don't feel? No, you don't. You've been trying to feel better than still. That's why you got that car you got. That's why you got all those sneakers you got. That's why you got, now I'm not going to go crazy, but you guys understand what I'm saying to you. Or you still feel less than. You got the imposter syndrome, which many people have. If you know what the imposter syndrome is when the disease tell you if they really knew who I was. They call you pastor, bishop, apostle, doctor. Right? If the disease will try to, and how, now that has no power if I've done the work. If I haven't done the work, now when I say do the work, it's not a one-shot deal. I feel sorry for the people who've been through the steps one time. And if you're here, I don't mean to offend you. I'm trying to help you. Okay. So it's saying that you might not know this. Maybe you never heard this before. It's cool. The 8th step is the beginning of a process that lets us feel equal to others. I don't know where you're at in your recovery. But in the 4th step, we do a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of this leftover stuff that will never go away unless you admit it, you do your part for restoration, restitution, whatever 3 words the 9th step tells you. You cannot, money, property, prestige, nothing you do is, if it's in there, you can't cover it up with nothing. If it's in there, you got to address it, because now I don't got to be the best speaker in NA no more. That's right. I don't got to be the toughest Puerto Rican, the toughest New Yorican. Right? Because that's a whole different creepy people group. All right? I don't got, when there's a page in the basic text, we will no longer have to feel better than or less than. That's right. You're lying if you haven't done this. There's stuff in here that you can't just pray it away. In the Christian world, we put it, you got to repent. Right? So now, think about that, because I know it's provocative, but I promise you it's true. The 8th step is the beginning of a process that lets us feel equal to others instead of feeling shame and guilt. Instead of feeling forever less than. Now, how do people, I don't feel less than. Well, your jealousy shows me that you feel less than. Your envy, the way you talk about other people shows me that you got issues. What you say about other people, it says this does nothing about them, it says everything about you. Right? So instead, it's telling us of feeling forever less than, we become able to look people in the eye. We won't have to avoid anyone. We won't have to be afraid we'll be caught and punished for some neglected response. We'll be free. That's very powerful. David, talk to me. Go ahead.
Just, you spoke about words, and words, I'm like that. And in that sentence, it says, the 8th step is the beginning of a process that lets us feel equal, like when you really believe that you're equal to somebody else. That counteracts all that low self-esteem and low self-worth that I've had for most of my life, right? And then at the end it says, we'll be free.
Yeah. Let me tell you something about that feeling thing, right? When you feel, right, when it says when you feel equal to other people, let me just explain something to you, right? You interact differently with other people. Okay. When you can tell that, I can tell when somebody's a come mierda. I can tell. And I know I call some of you that, so don't get upset. I'm just, I'm just saying, like, I can tell. I can tell. And everybody else can tell. It smells. Right? It means when you're full of crap. You're full of crap. Look at my Balenciaga shirt. Look at my Versace. Look at my, you see how many CDs I got on the table? See that Wallace? See? Raymond. Come in, yeah.
Look how many I sold. Look how many I sold.
Right? You can tell. Now, but this is what the 8th step is saying. So this is very important, because we all know, you know where you're at. Let me tell you, one of the most painful things that I experience in my recovery, ministry, business is when somebody's wife says, my husband breaks my heart. We go home and he's talking about this one, he's talking about that one, he's talking about, my husband, all he does is piss in my ear. And I gotta live with him. That breaks my heart. Because in my spiritual path, the husband's supposed to lead. He's blocking growth. You know why he's doing that? Because he don't feel free. He has a sick need to talk about other people, or she has a sick need because she hasn't experienced this yet. So, and I'll say one more thing, because we did this whole hour on this. I could say this. I could say, Raymond, you are the most beautiful man in the world. I got a board that says, you know, you are beautiful, you're amazing, you're wonderful, I love myself. When you don't feel it, you're not going to live it out. Because feel, we did a whole study, is attached to belief in this context. In this context. All right? So it's important to understand that, yo, you don't got to make believe, you don't got to say, you know, you can be free. You can really, really be free, but you gotta get, and it's funny, but I don't know who said it. Somebody said it, I think Pastor Junior, you gotta get the junk out. You gotta get the junk out. God wants to put good stuff. When you do this work, good stuff is gonna go inside. Julie was telling me about some nutrition stuff. She's gonna hook me up. I'm gonna have, you're gonna have good stuff inside you. You know what I mean? But you gotta get the junk out. And then the other, and he said, you gotta admit it. That's part of it, admitting it. You know, Julie, you gonna say something?
Yeah, this words, the power of words to speak life or death. The why, I need to know why. We don't have to avoid anyone, including myself.
That's good.
Long-term recovery. I can avoid myself and what's going on inside. And when I'm avoiding myself, I'm avoiding you. So this gets to the truth of who I am and who God made me to be in His eyes. That brings the courage and the self-confidence.
Amen.
You know, to be able to do God's work.
Absolutely.
And if I got an issue with you, I'm avoiding me, I got an issue with you, I can't go anywhere. Yeah, I gotta get to the why.
Absolutely. Sir, go ahead. I'm sorry. Don't be dirty. Give me a dirty look. I'll take the mic back. Go ahead.
No, like, yeah, this part is really good. It's really touching me. It's really hitting me because I have moments where I feel equal, but then I have moments where I feel less than also. You know, and I know it's a process, right? We get there when we get there, right? But like, not. Like dropping out of school in 10th grade, you know what I mean? Getting my GED in jail and all this stuff. I still hear the disease tells me that I'm not smart enough. Like even to raise my hand here to speak it's hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think I'm not gonna, you know, make sense. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. You know, like I'm tired of feeling less than. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I say thank you.
Any other hands before we move on? David.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that, like, that last line culminates it all, will be free. To not engage in this thoroughly is to rob myself of the freedom that's available here. You know, and it's hard to watch members, and this is not a judgment, I just want people to feel free the way I feel free. That when you don't really wade into this work, you're robbing yourself of a great deal of freedom. You think you've done enough, but you know, I was good at 6 and 7. I finally felt that I was good, like I liked myself. I was starting to like myself and feel part of humanity. But there was still more freedom to come.
Yes.
The 8th and 9th step for me unlocked a level of freedom that ushered me into a whole new, I don't know, dimension. You know, just I became, what's the word, self-actualization. Being able to become more and more the man that God intended me to be. Part of my 8-step list is putting myself, right? And on my 8-step list was thousands of nameless people that I screwed.
Yes.
Right? Sex club, all that stuff. And then when I got to the 9th step, how do I make amends to people I didn't remember who I screwed last night? But the thing was, willingness takes the place of amends. And when I accepted that by faith, that's true for myself, I felt free in my spirit like never before. Free!
Yes.
I shouted out like that. And that's when God was able to move me to go to college and go and accomplish more things. Because I wasn't feeling less than anymore. Like, I love our steps. I love this program. There's a wonderful God here at work in these steps that's available to all of us. And to not get into it, you know, and I'm on my 2nd round, and there's more levels of freedom to come. I feel like I'm just getting started, you know, and yeah, we'll be free.
Frankie, and then Julian.
David hit it on the head. You know, it's just, when I did my amends to my family that I abandoned, after 26-year marriage, you know what I went through. I abandoned my children, I abandoned my wife clean. I did a lot of damage, physical damage. When I started the men's process, once I, you know, got some healing for myself, because you can't do something if you don't have something, you know, for yourself in order to do it. You know what I mean? So, in other words, when I started doing that with my children, my ex-wife, and I started doing it with my dad that cheated on my mom, and I started forgiving the guy who molested me, and I started forgiving this person, and I forgave that person, the freedom, I didn't worry about what people thought about me, what people think about me, what they say about me. It doesn't matter. It's not important. What's important is what I got with God and where I'm going and where He's taking me. And you know what? But check it out. I gotta do it again. After this 8, I gotta do another 8 once I finish the 12. You know when you was on the phone with me today? I was gonna tell you, wait a minute. Let's do some let's do the 3rd step. Because I'm hungry for more step work. Because I got some taste of freedom, right? And I want more of that freedom. I don't want to go cheat on my wife. I don't want to go steal. Home Depot, every time, most of the time I walk in Home Depot, I got some freedom, but the disease still tells me, still attempt to take measuring tape. We're 29 years clean. It still tells me that, every now and then.
Don't do it.
They owe you something. You spent, no, I'm not gonna do it. You spent millions here, you spent millions, you spent thousands, you do a lot of renovations, you deserve it.
Yeah.
This is the disease, right? You know?
Sure.
But it's not worth it.
No.
I know it's not worth my integrity, my self-worth.
Especially not a tape.
It took a lot.
Rob a bank.
No, it took a lot for this addict to get his self-respect back. Because I was clean a lot of years thinking I had some self-respect. But how can you have self-respect when you don't respect yourself and you're cheating on your wife and you're talking to your mother or your children and you hating them? There's no self-respect in that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm grateful for the freedom that I got.
Absolutely. And there's more freedom, more freedom.
That's right.
I want to say this. Somebody had their hand up. Julian. Jules. I'm sorry, Jules. Go ahead. After Jules, I want to make a statement. I'm sorry about calling you Julian. I'm sorry. Jules. I'm sorry.
I have a question. In the last line, it says you won't have to be afraid or punished for some neglected responsibility. So who's supposed to punish me? It's punishing myself. There you go.
That's great. That's a deep question. You want the answer?
Well, it's thought-provoking.
Okay, no, God, I got an answer.
The answer to me was me. I'll punish me.
Right. Right.
More than anyone could ever punish me.
Yes.
And I do.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, we punish ourselves, and then there's spiritual punishment that comes from the disease. Right? Oh, you know what it is for the disease to put you in a headlock and to bang you out. Right? And so what happens is when you know, if you're aware of, like if you're aware of it, like if you're not aware of it, I think, being conscious, there's a price to pay. Right? So, being aware of something and not doing nothing about it, there's a spiritual torment that begins to take place. All right, now, if you're not aware of it, ignorance is bliss. Right? But if you're aware of it, like you're here this weekend and we're talking about, you're gonna hear different things. You got, and God downloads something to you and you do nothing about it, it's gonna torment you. It's gonna punish you. And I don't know about you, but let me tell you something stupid, right? Something you guys, some of you have heard me say we used to have VCRs in my house. VCR is like a big box, and my mother had it chained. She had 3 drug addict kids. She had it chained in the middle. Imagine the VCR right here, in the middle of the room. And I was thirsty. Yeah. And the disease said, take the VCR. And I said, it's in the middle of the room. Like, that's stupid. They're going to realize it's gone. The disease said, they're not going to notice. Right? So, they're not going to notice. I said, they're going to notice, but it's in the middle. It's right here. The disease said, nobody will know. So, I took the VCR. As soon as I got the money from the guy, as soon as the disease said, "You stupid mother hubby." That's right. You stupid mother hubby. You're dumber than a rock.
You said after you got out.
But as soon as I got the money, the disease began to torment me. I couldn't even enjoy getting high with the money I got from the VCR because of the torment. It's worse in recovery when you know. It's worse when you're working with, when you got a real relationship with God and you're working with God, you're giving up the peace and the joy of God for stupid stuff. You understand? So Jules, you brought that point up. It's very, very powerful that, and we don't like the word punish, right? But it's in the literature. It's not, it's not a religious book. It's we won't have to be afraid we'll be caught and punished. Let me tell you what a lot of people are afraid of, and this is irrational. That somehow, some way, they haven't addressed their past. And because they haven't addressed their past, their blessings are going to be robbed from them if these people knew my past. It's not even real.
Say that again.
So let's say that you are, you know who you are, Ed. You're a very successful man, in life, and God has blessed you. And the disease will have you believing if anybody knew where you come from, or that you're an NA member, or that you was an ex-drug addict, or whatever it is, that you will lose your business, you lose your family. It's not real. Yeah. But because you're not addressing this for so long, you have an irrational fear that begins to torment you. You become paranoid. Mental illness. You know mental. I'm talking to a professional. Okay. I just want you to know, just in case in your DSM-5 book. All right. But look what happens. It says we won't have to be afraid. In the 8th step, there's a fear that can torment you. There's a fear that is irrational. There's a fear, and so, but just that you understand, if you understand what we've done so far, right? We talked about the 8th step. The only thing you got to do is 3 things. We talked about the 6 people groups that were, that in the first paragraph. We said all you got to do is do 3 things in this step. You're gonna think about the 9th step, but don't let that rob you in the 8th step. Let's deal with the misconceptions now. And then it says, okay, just in case you don't know this, you got to change. I'm making amends about change, but you still got to sit down with the person face to face and feel all of that. And then it says, listen, I know that the disease is gonna fight for its life. And it's cute. It says you might be feeling a bit weary. But it tells us, man, it tells us that the freedom that's available to us, right, the rewards of doing the work, this is what that paragraph is about. The 8th step, this step is the beginning of a process. And if you're a believer in God, it's going to help you embrace your real identity. Religious people who quote scriptures don't embrace their real identity because they've done nothing about their past. I promise you. They could talk all the scriptures in the world, but they haven't cleaned out the junk. They haven't let God do their work. They just want to put on the suit and tie, and that develops into hypocrisy. That develops into becoming a judgmental and critical. Now you're a gossiper. You didn't even do that when you was using drugs. It's important to whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but what is it? What really is it? What could it be? You're in the recovery process in NA. What could it be? What is the disease lying to you about that you won't just put it on paper and talk to your sponsor about? You ain't got to tell nobody. You got to get a share about it. Don't put it on a CD. You know what I'm saying? And so this is the reward. This is the reward. That you can experience real freedom on levels that you didn't know you needed freedom in. And that if you experience this freedom, these 11 different destructive behaviors would be addressed. If you had this freedom. You wouldn't be doing this, and this if you had this freedom. But if you don't got this freedom, you're going to be stuck on stupid and parked on dumb. And it's not good. It don't got to be that way. All right? Okay. Next. Let's do one more paragraph. Somebody read the next paragraph.
Some of us go to the other extreme with this step. We can't wait to get right out of there and make everything okay, unaware that we may cause more harm. We blunder forward, confessing infidelities to our spouses or friends. We sit our families down and make them listen to every detail of our addiction, confirming some of their worst fears about what we were doing out there and filling in some blanks that until then had been left mercifully empty. in a state of excitement, we give our children a speech about how we have a disease for which we're not responsible, how we love our recovery, and how wonderful life is going to be from then on. Forgetting all the times before when we had made them so many empty promises. We stroll into our employer's office one day and announce that we're addicts, that we've embezzled a great deal of money. This means, but that we're very sorry and never do again.
Why is that there?
Because we do it.
What do we, why is that paragraph there? Somebody tell me.
The people who do that the most are new people, though, they haven't even gotten to the 9th step.
So people who are not, shouldn't be doing it are doing it.
That's right. The people who do that the most are new people. They go running home after 30 days, I'm clean now, I'm sorry I did this or that. And this is why sponsorship is such an important part of the recovery process. And when someone's new, as a sponsor, it's important to tell that person, listen, the only amends you need to make today is not to get high. You don't need to explain, tell anybody, or do anything to explain why you did what you did. It's not time for that yet.
Amen. Thank you. Gladys.
I wasn't sure, I didn't hear what Joanne said from back here, but what I wanted to say to that paragraph, it's about, that's where that part comes about, make direct amends or to do so would injure them or others. So that paragraph is speaking to them, like that we don't go, and one of the other things is gossip. A lot of my 8-step list, a lot of things that I realize that I have done is gossip. I can't go and tell someone, listen, I gotta make amends to you because I was talking with Julie, I was talking about you, that you stink, that you so you can't go and make them, you're not, you gotta be realistic, that paragraph is, there's certain things that you share and I could admit, and I worked with my sponsor, but I'm not gonna take it to the person because I'm gonna cause them more harm. That would be crazy. You don't tell your lover that you slept with someone, you just never do that again. And you find that your sponsor can help you how to find ways around things. Like, it's not like we should get away with it. Besides admitting it, they might give us a suggestion, like, let's say I stole some money from the job. So, you know what? Make some donations to that church, or maybe go and go to a soup kitchen and help out and everything to make up for the wrong that you did that you can't do it directly.
Okay, thank you. Stevie.
Hi, everybody. Stevie B, recovering addict.
Stevie.
We have to remember that we're sponsors. We're not God. So we think, like I've thought in the past, especially with this one sponsee, that except when to do so would injure them or others. But sometimes God intervenes and tells that person to do full confession. And I specifically told this man, do not tell your wife about all your affairs. You're gonna bring undue harm to your family, you're gonna be undue harm to yourself. You need to make amends to all these different organizations. You don't have the right to take your guilt and place it on her. And he went and sought pastoral counsel. He did full disclosure. They spent the last 12 years in wedding bliss with total honesty between the marriage. He just died in the last 2 weeks of cancer, unfortunately. But I was wrong. I was doing the program, and I gave my opinion, and the opinion was backed up with literature. But we always have to remember that God is the ultimate sponsor.
That's right. I want to say something there real quick. That's very important. There's some people that are led by God and they need to confess everything. There's other people led by God and you need to confess it to your pastor and to your accountability partner. There you go. The key is being able to understand if you're led by God. Most people don't know what that means. Like, what do you mean led by God? You can be led by God. You know what is to be led by the disease. So that's a good point, Stevie. It's not one size fits all. And really, I appreciate that you put yourself out there, because sometimes you can be so arrogant, so right, I'm the sponsor, that you could be wrong. And I've been wrong too. I've been wrong too. So I think that's important, that you process that the sponsor says not God, and I think that's why it's important to have your second step people, your corner people. All right? Yes, Jesse.
Sometimes, man, overwhelming sense of guilt can make you do the weirdest thing.
Sure.
Right, we get overwhelmed, hey Joe. right? And because we're human, right? And one of the things that most of us fight is guilt and shame, right? That's one of the things that ran me in here, right? And that's one of the things that can run me out of here, or put me in that corner again where I may not come out clean, you know? Yeah, guidance is real important here, man, but when we allow our emotions to back us into a corner, you never know what the hell you might do, or might not do. You know, looking at it like that, because we're human, man, and we're all infallible, man, and none of us are perfect. None of us. There's no such thing as a perfect role model in here, you know, and, but you know what, man? I learned more from my adversity and mistakes than I've ever learned from anything else. You know, it teaches me how to be a better person, a better man, you know, and not the one that hurt like that no more. But you know what I also know, man, is that, that if I don't continue to work this program, I don't continue to seek God, that my assets will become a liability without my knowledge. And what I think was like the best part to me become the worst part.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, Josh, want to participate? Go ahead.
If we're just gonna talk about this specific paragraph, I think it's really just a big warning. Because it says blunder, and when we blunder forward, it means we're confused, and we might be getting confused because of all these emotions that I wrote on the 8th step, like all the lists of the people that have harmed, and that he said we're just led by emotions, and I just want to find the relief from the guilt and the shame. But if my sponsor is not guiding you, it's basically like stop, pump the brakes, go back around and go and let your sponsor guide you. Even though I know Stevie said that we're not God or whatever, but I think somebody with more experience, like my sponsor, would have a better understanding and wouldn't let me blunder forward.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Read the next paragraph for us real quick, Joseph, if you can.
Through our own experiences with rushing out to make amends are probably not this extreme. We can surely grasp the point. If we try to make amends without our sponsor's guidance and without a plan, we can end up causing even more harm.
So let me tell you something. We're gonna shut this side down. There's incredible benefits of being as honestly, as thoroughly honestly, as meticulously honestly, 4-step words as possible. There's a lot of freedom available. There's a lot of great rewards available. All right. I pray to God first and foremost that He would use my sponsor, that He would use whoever I have in my corner, my therapist, my coach, whatever I got. But I ask God to please speak to me through these people. Now, I specifically, this is personal, I have people that know me and know God. Knowing me is not enough. I want people who know me and know God to guide me.
Yes.
Very important, right? Very important. So that's specifically, those are the criteria I'm looking for. Because if you don't know God and you know me, you're going to guide me according to what you don't know. So, you catch that later. So anyway, it's very important that I don't be the one that makes the ultimate decision. That's the point. That I don't be the one that be like, you know what? I prayed, I fasted, I didn't eat no breakfast, and I'm gonna no, papito. No. The point is that guidance is absolutely necessary, or you may end up causing more harm. Right? And it's unnecessary. You got a sponsor, you got this, you got that, you got this guy, you got that guy. You know, I think Frankie left. Frankie, I'm gonna share. Frankie would call me the other day, and somebody gave him some good information, right? And he went and he did something, you know, he made a move. And I just said, Frankie, did you speak to the people that know about that stuff first? He said, no. You know what? I'm gonna call them now. Right? But he was able to call. You know, why not use the resources? Why, if I need to call, you know, why not use? There's people that know stuff about stuff that I might be getting into. Why not call and just say, yo, I'm considering doing, this is 2nd step stuff. I'm considering doing this. I'm praying about this. I'm thinking about doing this. If Josh knows about it, let me call. If this guy, why not? Why? If I want to fly under the radar, it's disease. Right? If I want to fly, if I can't talk to my sponsor, but if I can't talk to something is very wrong. And if I think I'm too spiritual to talk to my sponsor, there's 2 things wrong, not just one thing. And I'm a pastor, I'm the bishop, doctor, apostle, Reverend Raymond, just in case you didn't know that. So, Come mierda, right? All right, so, no. So just important, as we close it down, as we consider this, the disease wants us to have information without application. Right? Or information with misapplication. Right? Just, it's in the book. We all got the same book. We all just be another clown on the bus. Be another, it's okay. Just do what we do so you can experience what we experience. Don't be unique, different, and special. Stop it already. Do not be unique. I know you're the anointed one, and that's great. Don't be unique, special, and different. Make sure it says 3 things there, that you have a plan.
Yeah, I like that.
You talk to your sponsor. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna have we're gonna come back in 10 minutes. For those who want, we have just for today. That's gonna be our closing out meeting. Some of y'all know some of you guys gotta get going. I understand. Tomorrow morning we're gonna be here at 7 o'clock for just for today, and then we're gonna have breakfast, and then we're coming back. All right. So anybody have any questions that for housekeeping? Not the workshop is over. Any housekeeping questions? The coffee's on the 4th floor. We got stuff there. All the snacks are for everybody. If you didn't put nothing in the refrigerator, please don't touch nothing in the refrigerator. Yeah.
You said prayer over us tonight?
Absolutely.
I know we're coming back.
Absolutely, yes. Anybody, any questions? No. Okay. Why don't we all say the serenity prayer, right?
Yeah.
God,
grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
10 minutes, 10 minutes.
10 minutes.